Thank you. All right, folks. We are picking up a little early what is presumably our last order of business of the day, H93, an act relating to the creation and maintenance of a database of veterans in Vermont. We're going to do an introduction, a little bit of testimony. The bill was introduced by our very own Representative Hooper of Burlington. Representative Hooper, would you like to tell us about your bill?
Bill designed to what's perceived to be a need. I just put a bunch of reasons in the because we don't necessarily have a way to identify every veteran that's in the state. Generally, when somebody leaves military service, their DD 214 gets sent to the Veteran Service Organization. But if you left the service and moved back to Pennsylvania, it never follows you. So to some degree, there's a desire. Some of it is coming from the Governor's Veterans Advisory Council. And some of it's coming so if you know the answer to the question. But at this point, this bill endeavors to charge state agencies with reporting to Veterans Affairs when they stumble onto somebody that's a veteran. And then all the information is confidential that is transferred into the database is confidential and not exportable also. We think that, we should be talking about doing a study to some degree or a report back on how the potential is to actually perform the task, since state computer systems generally don't talk to each other. And if there's any financial issue involved, that's what Burke's here to talk.
All right. Mr. Burke, great to see you, sir.
Good to see you all.
Hi,
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. I am Robert Burke. I'm the Director of the Vermont Office of Veterans Affairs. So H93 in its present form has had several forms over the last 14 years since I have been with the office. So I have always questioned the objective, what is the objective of the bill? Yes, it would be nice to have a mechanism within the state to collect the number of veterans within the state. We currently use the VA's veteran population model, which is based on their numbers, census numbers, a number of different population-based numbers. As of the 30th of September of 2023, that number stood at 38,592. That's a good a swag as any. So yes, it would be a good mechanism to be able to spread the word to veterans and their families about benefits and resources that are available within the state for them. And to kind of keep track as we ebb and flow. But as of right now, we have no mechanism for new veterans that surge into the state or veterans that leave the state. So it's a hard number to track with any accuracy. Ebb and flow of data, from other agencies, who's collecting it? I mean, DMV, I don't know. So we certify the DMV forms. What does DMV then do with that? Can they pull up a number of people that have veteran designator on their driver's license? How many veteran designation plates are out there? I don't know the answer to that. Department of Labor, can they tell me how many veterans they've helped in the past 12 months? Economic Services, can they tell me how many veterans or veteran families that they've served in the past 12 months? I don't know if they're collecting that data and if the integration of that data between the agencies could be funneled into us in any substantive use that we could collect it, that we could then use it primarily to keep track of numbers, and then to use that to spread information that would be helpful to that population. So I think there's work that needs to be done to define the objective more clearly, and then to, as Representative Hooper talked about, to study the integrative IT solutions to who currently collects any of that data. We collect it on paper, in which we're in the process now. We have data prior to 1990, we have digitally, but that is basically just picture files of discharge papers. And we're looking at digitizing everything that we have post 1990 and trying to figure out how to do that in some sort of searchable manner. But again, because of the configuration of those discharges before there was standardization in the 80s, and some of the paper copies that we have are still older than that, it's a hard thing to do. And we may end up just being able to digitize based on alphabetical, last name and then first name. So that's a long way to say that I'm not sure how good of a searchable database. We could end up with a database that would give us numbers. But in terms of, how searchable it would be in terms of age, gender, term of service, period of service, et cetera. But again, that goes back to the objective of what do we want to use the database for? My thoughts.
And I don't think it's really now, but if you look back a little bit, when we were doing the burn pit legislation, it would have been nice to be able to say, wow, reach out to every veteran in the state and let them know this is happening. At this point.
Right. So I use an accumulation of veterans organizations throughout the state. Certainly Andre Wing up at Camp Johnson runs Vermont Veterans Outreach. And that goes out to, Blue Star Mothers, they don't exist anymore, but organizations such as that, Josh Pilata's House, DFW, American Legions, DAV, all those veteran service, veterans related organizations throughout the state, Vermont Adaptive, any veteran related, veteran associated organizations that we push the word out to and hope that they spread that information to get it the widest dissemination possible.
There you go.
You spoke to General and Housing when we had military affairs several years ago about this bill. And really, in your opinion, with the upgrades to any of the computer systems, has anything really changed?
No, ma'am.
It's been thought.
No.
As I recall, it was, we did kind of a deep dive into it. Do you recall that,
Mhm.
Chair Byron?
Yeah, no, we did a lot of work with that bucket.
And it was just really hard to
that was
implement
heavy.
and make usable because we were talking about the advent of the burn pit registry at that time.
Right. Even back then.
Yeah. Thank you. Any questions?
Maybe it's also probably the opportunity to focus on solving the problem.
Mhm. Well, it doesn't look like there's any, it appears to be revenue neutral.
Correct.
Yes?
That's my reading,
Yes.
which I think is a mistake because I think it will not be revenue neutral.
It will not be revenue neutral?
I think it will cost hardware, software, personnel to establish and run. That was one of my other
Okay.
questions.
So then we would need to know, like how much would this cost?
Right, and
One could possibly implement this.
correct, and whether it would be through, a consultant or through ADS ADS may know our internal systems better to kind of give a forecast of what systems, economic services, health and human services, Department of Labor, DMV are using and how those could be integrated versus having somebody from the outside. Unless, Salesforce is doing a lot of things in the state, and I don't know how much I'm just throwing out
Yeah.
things.
Hear you on all of the above, Mr. Burke.
Or,
That being said,
That being said, also, if I look at that, as you often said, kicking this around for a while, is take the opportunity to focus on solving the problem rather than taking it down the road again. Get a report back, make it ready, make it whatever. You need to get it done, but at this point, nothing has happened in years.
report.
Make it, we could make it a simple report that would study how to do it, how to get it done.
And who would we
And
charge
who
with
would
said
do it?
report?
Resources needed.
Hold on, what's that? Yeah,
What resources needed?
yeah, that's what we're trying to suss out right now.
The task,
Yeah,
Agency attention.
dude. Don't have time.
You're pushing an idea.
I understand you are. We are gonna be here deep into May. Vehicles are vehicles. We'll take more testing. In May. Yeah. We got too much to focus on tomorrow. Mr. Burke, I appreciate your time.
Mhm.
absolutely. In closing, I still think it's a good idea.
Absolutely.
I just think that we need,
Yeah, we're committed to taking more testimony on this. Absolutely.
Sure.
But we just gotta focus on getting through tomorrow. We gotta move out tomorrow.
absolutely.
We'll see them early April.
See them all the time.
I appreciate you, Mr. Burke.
Hi.
I'm gonna see you in Randolph Center.
Thank you.
Yeah, there you go.
It's really better than some periods. On the house.
Right, the time that we feedback on government things, but-
It's got his tires.
Can I ask, so when you say that you want to report something
Hold on